Welcome to Section 4, Publishing. In this section, we're going to take a look at a couple of important aspects to be able to publish your data. First off, we're going to look at the actual steps you would use to publish data in format other than what we've been currently using, which is just basic web maps or a feature service. We're going to do a little bit more with our data to publish it. And then once we've published our data, how can we secure that data behind some sort of authentication? So in the first video, we're going to be covering publishing data. In this video, we're going to take a look at whether you should publish your data as a feature service or a tile service. And if you publish that tile service, how do you create those tiles? And once we've created those tiles and we've set up our web map, we're going to discuss ways that we can share that web map as well as the items that are part of it. So what we have here is a web map that I created. It includes census tract points that I've used the geo-enrichment tools on to add some extra information. If we look at one of these points, I've added the 2010 to 2014 poverty index. I've added a field for how many people have a smartphone that were buyers, as well as 2016 seniors age 65 plus that are part of that census tract. So I've enriched my data, meaning that I can go ahead and create some neat visualizations with this. I've also gone ahead and I used the analysis tools on this data set. I used the analyze patterns, interpolate points to create a new layer that looks something like this. This is a really interesting visualization here that can tell me information about areas that are maybe at risk within Los Angeles County. And I did this based off of the poverty index. So this is an interesting data set, and it's also an interesting visualization. Now right now, this is actually all features. So it's a polygon here, a polygon there. As you can see, polygons I can work with. Now this isn't too large of a data set. If I actually were to look at the table for this data set, it's going to tell me that there are 202 features that are part of this table. Now I could go ahead and I could just save this web map and I could share this data set with this particular visualization and then maybe do some pretty interesting things with the points as well, which we'll do in a minute. But I may want to go ahead and do something like publish this visualization as raster tiles. Raster tiles, when they're used in an application, will actually render faster than drawing out a bunch of graphics. Now, it's not a huge issue for only 200, but imagine I had done this for the entire United States. Now, I would have done it in here, but that's really too large of a data set for me to work with a developer account. But I can do that pretty easily for the LA County area by using some of the tools that are currently available to me. So first off, I'm going to go to my content. When I get to my content, I'm going to filter out to layers. And here's the layer I'm working with, at-risk prediction, and it's a hosted feature layer. So let's go ahead and check this box. So now it's selected. Now I can select on create here. From the drop-down menu, I'm going to select tile layer. Now when I select tile layer, it's going to go ahead and give me, ask me what it is that I want to create my tiles based off of. So we're going to look for at risk, and we're going to choose this visualization here. So we're going to choose that layer, get my small description. I'm going to click on create. And we see we've got all the different tags that are part of it. I'm going to give this my packed tag here. And summary of this is basically it's a feature layer generated from interpolate points. That was the analysis tool that I ran. Now, I also want to know how am I going to display these tile layers? I'm going to display them with the ArcGIS Online base maps, or am I going to display them with my own custom tile layer base map? And that's going to help it figure out how it might want to create these tiles. I'm also going to go ahead and pick out the visible range. So in this case, I will go from counties to see building. So building would be very close. Buildings would be a little bit further away. And then we have street. We can go ahead and keep coming here. So we got down to like a single street level, down to multiple streets, We keep going up, and now we're at neighborhood, town, city, cities, plural. We keep going up to metropolitan area, county again. Let's work with street level on this one. And we'll adjust this one to be county level. So a small range that we're going to go ahead and create our tiles in. And that's because I don't want to create too many tiles because it's really only covering the LA County area. But if we go back here to our map, this visualization really doesn't make much sense or much of an impact when I get down to a closer level in here. So see, at this level, it sure does make a difference. But as I start getting closer, you can see it may not really make much of a difference. At this point, I actually might want to see the raw data in some cases. The points actually may tell more of a story here than this data set itself. So let's come over here. I'm going to click on Done. Now it's going to get ready to start publishing my tile layer. Okay, so now at this point, I have some options here for creating my tiles. Basically at how many levels do I want to create at. So I had selected a few different levels. I want to have this first one here, this scale here. Now what it's actually happened at this point is it's done some evaluation on my data set to see how many tiles is going to be created in those ranges I've asked for. So maybe I don't want that. Let's take that one, that one. So we're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll take the first 5 scales here to create our tiles. Now we can tell here it's going to give us an estimated storage, which is about 138 megabytes, and it's going to tell me how many tiles it's going to want to create. So at this point here, I'll leave it at that. This is pretty comfortable with this, where it's going to end up with. And I've got 5 scales selected. That's telling me here. Total number of tiles here. That's actually for everything, but I'm not going to do everything. I only want to take the first 5. I don't want these last 2 scales. And you can see here that if I start increasing here, the storage space starts exponentially grow. If I select them all, it's going to be just over 2 gigabytes. If I remove the last one, it's only at 542. And then remove the second to last, or I'm sorry, yes, the second to last, it's only roughly 138 megabytes. So I'm going to stick with that because my credits do get used for tile storage. So I'm going to go ahead and create my tiles. Now it's going to tell me here that I'm about to create a certain number of tiles that requires a certain amount of space, and that creating these tiles is going to give me going to cost me an estimated number of credits. In this case, it's only going to be just about 5 credits, but I still have around 1,000 or so credits left for my account right now. This is just my developer account that we created when we first started this course. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, create the tiles. So now that we're creating the tiles, we just have to wait a little bit. We have tile creation in progress. And once these tiles are created, we can go ahead and we can start using them. All right, so now that our tiles have been created, we can go down here and look at some of the tile settings for the tile layer. We have the visible range that we set before. And notice that it says we only have 6.4% of the tiles are available. And that's because for the ranges that we set up, we actually defined it that we wanted more level of detail. However, after looking at the amount of storage and everything it was going to take, decided to just go ahead and skip these last 2 in here. And I can now see that I've got all the rest of my tiles available to go. So you can see what a big difference it makes by just having first 5 scale ranges set up and publish those, and those actually only make up 6.4% of all the tiles available. The rest are inside of mostly the last scale range and the second to last that has quite a few as well. We also have the option here to allow offline mode, and this is used for certain applications that can actually take maps offline and use them in the devices. We'll leave that unchecked right now. We can go to overview and we can see that we've got thumbnail for our tiles here. It's got the layer source in there. Let's go ahead and open this up in map viewer. Okay, so we open our web map here and it's gone ahead and added it to the web map for us. And again, these are all just the tiles that we created. So we don't have tiles at this scale range, but we do at this one. And as we get in closer, we've still got tiles generated for our scale ranges. And as we get closer and closer, we'll see that eventually the tiles disappear, which is fine at this way. So let's go ahead and let's add transparency here. And let's just give it a bit of a transparency, not 50%. Let's do about, so that's about roughly 25% or so there. So let's zoom out here. Now what I want to do, make this map a little bit more interesting, is let's go ahead and add another layer here. Grab it from my content. Let's do at risk. Now let's add the actual points that were the source of this initial analysis that we did. We're done here. So they're the points, right? This is the raw data set that made up this actual raster tiles here. Let's do a little bit of smart mapping on here. Let's do it based off of the poverty index. Just some real basic sizing in here. And that's way too much. The points are way too jumbled up at this scale. So let's actually come down here. Let's zoom in until our raster tiles disappear. Okay, so at this level, our raster tiles have disappeared. So let's come over here and let's set a visibility range. And we're going to set the visibility range equal to neighborhood, which is what our current map is at here. We can see this little triangle here lets us know what the current map scale is. And we just move the slider across to neighborhood there, and we're all set. So now if I zoom out, the raw data doesn't show up. Just have my raster tiles. If I zoom in, and I'm going to start getting my actual raw data points, and my raster tiles are going to disappear. And my data points are actually visualized a little bit to kind of help me out here. It doesn't help too much in this particular case, but if I went to an area maybe where there's a big difference, I've got to zoom in here. Maybe if we start looking at some of these areas in here, and we start seeing the sizing of different points here versus other ones. So now we start seeing a bit of a difference. So let's go ahead and zoom out a bit here. Let's stick mainly with the Los Angeles location, and we're going to save this map. Save as at risk Los Angeles. I have a Los Angeles tag here. Let's give it our packed tag. Save that map. And you can also see over here that the points that are not visible are grayed out in my contents over here, and these are not. So as I zoom in some more, we'll see that this is going to change here so that now that is not grayed out anymore, so it's showing it. This isn't, because technically we didn't adjust the scale range of our rasters. We just don't have any tiles here, which is fine. So let's zoom out again. All right, so let's save that map one more time. So now we've got our new map. We've saved our map. Now we want to share this map. Now when we share this map, I want to go ahead and I'm going to limit this sharing to members of a group. I'm going to limit it to this GeoDev group that I have in here. Now when I do that, it's going to let me know that the original data sets, the items that are part of this web map, do not have the same sharing settings I'm applying. So it's telling me the layers in the web map may not be visible to others because they're not currently shared. It gives me the option to update the sharing of those items so that they'll also match the web map. This is a neat way that you can go ahead and publish your web maps with some items inside it that maybe you want to go and update the sharing for those items. Just be aware that you are updating the sharing of the items to either the groups or public or however you may do it. If you don't want to share those items, then you need to manually update what people can see and what they can't see, and maybe actually create different web maps for different groups. So I'll go ahead and update the sharing of that item. And let's come down here and let's click on done. So now I can actually share that item out with different groups. And if we come down here, come back to content, open that in a new tab. Now let's submit this out to maps. And here's our at-risk Los Angeles map. And we see the shared settings are at group, whereas the other one, the first one we worked with, was not shared. And if we look at the layers that are part of that, which were the tile layer, has been updated to a group shared status, as well as the points that were shown in that web map have also been updated to a group shared status. All right, so in this video, we looked at how you can publish data as either a feature service, which we've been doing this entire time, or you can actually publish your analyzed data as a tile service, depending on if it's a large data set or not, or if you want that data to be served a little quicker. And we saw how easy it was for us to be able to create those tiles inside of ArcGIS Online. Once we created our tiles, we created a web map that took advantage of using the tiles as well as the raw data with a little bit of tools inside the map viewer to set the visible scale ranges and some opacity so that different layers are visible in different ranges. And this is really useful when you want to publish your maps with the same data, but kind of visualize it differently. And then we published the web map. When we published it, we also updated the sharing settings for the items that are part of the web map. That way, the data that's shown in the web map is available to the same people that we want to access the web map.